Officer Daniel Hayes had always prided himself on keeping the streets safe. Tonight, the quiet suburban road felt ordinary until he spotted a luxury SUV parked awkwardly near the military housing complex. He approached with his flashlight raised. The driver, a tall, composed man in civilian clothes, stepped out slowly. "Sir, is there a problem?" the man asked calmly. Hayes's heart raced as he recognized the face from news reports. General Marcus Reynolds, a highly decorated black officer who had served his country for over 25 years. Something in Hayes twisted. He drew his gun. "Don't move," he shouted, voice shaking with suspicion. Reynolds kept his hands visible, speaking steadily, explaining he was simply visiting family. The tension thickened as distant headlights appeared. General Reynolds felt the familiar weight of judgment he had faced before, but never like this. As a man who had led troops through life-threatening missions overseas, he remained composed. "Officer, I'm unarmed and on my own property rights here," he said firmly. Hayes's grip tightened on the trigger. Memories of biased stories he had absorbed over the years clouded his thinking. He saw only threat where none existed. Reynolds noticed movement in the shadows. His military escort, alerted by a silent panic button in his vehicle, was approaching carefully. The general's mind raced with thoughts of his wife and children waiting inside, praying this wouldn't end in tragedy. The air grew heavy with unspoken pain and fear. Backup was minutes away, but the situation escalated in heartbeats. Hayes yelled conflicting commands, his fear feeding into aggression. Reynolds stood tall, embodying the discipline that earned him respect across ranks. He shared a quiet truth: "I've protected this nation so people like you can stand here safely." Those words struck something deep in Hayes, but prejudice held stronger in that moment. He raised the gun higher. Suddenly, clear authoritative voices rang out from the approaching military detail. "Lower your weapon." They identified themselves as active duty personnel assigned to the general's protection. Hayes froze, but his finger stayed dangerously close to the trigger. The military team moved with precision born from years of training. They saw their general in immediate peril. One soldier assessed the threat instantly. Hayes's gun pointed directly at Reynolds's vital area. Protocol and the duty to protect a superior officer kicked in. A single, necessary shot echoed through the night. Hayes crumpled to the ground, his weapon falling harmlessly. Reynolds exhaled, shaken but unharmed. The soldiers rushed to secure the scene and check on their general. Neighbors' lights flickered on as the reality sank in. This was no ordinary traffic stop. It was a confrontation between personal bias and sworn duty to country. As paramedics arrived, the weight of the moment settled. General Reynolds sat on the curb, head in hands, reflecting on a lifetime of service where he had to prove his worth again and again. Thought of young soldiers he mentored, of the values of unity he fought to uphold. Officers from the department showed up, faces pale at the sight of one of their own down. Questions flew. Body camera footage would later reveal the truth. No resistance from Reynolds, only calm compliance. The military detail stood firm, explaining the clear and present danger. Emotions ran high. Anger, sorrow, and a growing sense of accountability filled the air. News of the incident spread rapidly. Community leaders, fellow veterans, and Reynolds's family gathered. Bowel. In the days that followed, the general addressed the public with grace and strength. "This isn't about one man's failure," he said. "It's about choosing understanding over fear, service over division." Hayes survived with injuries and faced investigation. The story forced difficult conversations about training, bias, and the shared sacrifice of those who wear different uniforms. Reynolds visited Hayes in the hospital, not with anger, but with a message of healing and the hope that future officers would see the humanity in every person they served. Months later, General Marcus Reynolds stood at a memorial ceremony honoring duty in all its forms. The incident had sparked reforms and deeper respect between law enforcement and military communities. He spoke of forgiveness, resilience, and the ongoing work to build a nation where every citizen, regardless of background, his voice carried emotion that touched thousands watching. The story of that fateful night became a powerful reminder. True strength lies in character, not in fear. Reynolds returned home to his family, forever changed, yet more committed than ever to bridging divides. In the end, justice and humanity found a fragile but hopeful balance.